there's laws.
They tried to put a bill through last year that we wrote petitions all across Canada for, and it was stating that herbal medicine, they wanted to outlaw it, or yes, and unless you were doing Chinese medicine like herbal medicine or First Nations, like a medicine person, then you weren't allowed to do it or have it or grow it or have anything to do with it.
It was cutting into the pharmaceutical process.
Yes,
That's right.
It's called Codex. Codex Alimentarius is like a food and drug harmonizing for international commoditizing. They're classifying natural herbs and vitamins in the same category as narcotics.
Okay. But it wasn't saying like only Aboriginal people could use it.
I didn't read that, but that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it just, if you were First Nations, you could use your natural medicines, but if you weren't, or if you weren't doing Chinese medicine, like if you were Asian and doing Chinese medicine, you were allowed, but if you weren't of those, then you weren't.
What's it called?
Codex. Codex.
So like Bill 57 or something like that, or 52, yeah.
Like I know that, for example, eagle feathers and those things, like only First Nations people can carry those, eh? Like in a ceremonial way. So.
Well, and the thing is, or given, because, but yet, like I'm Celtic, my family have been using eagle feathers for thousands of years too, right? And many of us have around the world because there's eagles in everywhere, and it's always been the sign of the elders, and the medicines and things like that. But
I know that that's the case, and I know that like I think in the States, in the United States, there's only certain people can harvest pipestone.
Yes.
I feel I'm okay with all that stuff, just because it's a way
Oh, of
to
course.
protect,
Yeah. Well, you don't want to, and same with the eagle thing, I mean, there's a certain sacredness of it.
What do either of you know what the position is on psilocybin or magic mushrooms?
Well,
shamans use magic mushrooms.
Yes, but
not in this territory.
No.
I mean, historically.
Yeah, no, and not historically in this territory. That's the thing that people need to understand about decolonization is that it doesn't necessarily mean you go around and you start like grabbing from everywhere, because that's not a coherent way of living in a particular ecosystem. Part of decolonization is like what is here right now that I can do in alliance with the indigenous people of this place.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I'm talking on more of a global scale.
You're talking about psychogenics, like different things that make you go into different realms. And there are some cultures, their culture used that. Others cultures use music. Other cultures will use other types of medicines. It's learning how to move yourself into the space of the awe in a natural sense, in a sense where you are walking it and you're talking it and you're living it. And you don't necessarily need it. And in India, they actually have a certain sector of people that they can't go there. Instead, they use, the medicines to go there. Yeah. And it's all fine and well. But yet...
Well, you have the receptors already in your brain, right?
It's all there. Yeah. It's just learning how to...
We're not a bunch of hippie granola crunching people down here whatsoever.
If you want to get into what is the psychoactive of this territory, before tobacco was colonized, there used to be some specific kinds of tobacco that was used in ceremony that has psychoactive properties. But because Kentucky and Virginia tobacco took over, indigenous tobacco was very rare.
Yeah.
That would be a one psychoactive, but it's not the same thing as
Okay.
When you're speaking of the decolonization and that, a lot of this, the story that the indigenous people here have experienced, it's the story of every African country that was colonized, every South American country that was colonized. I know a lot of Canadians don't know that the South African government actually came here and used our Indian reservation system to develop apartheid in the first place. I know a lot of people don't know that. It's what it was based on. But what you're speaking more is the mindset that develops because of that apartheid, of how we view each other and the misinformation. So what do you think we can do?
And the psychological damage that
Yeah.
takes place. I
Yeah.
mean, that's to me what it is. Hey, it's like racial superiority when you just act in a way that's just. I mean, people don't. The thing is that I know that people don't decide that. Hey, we're conditioned into these things. Hey, so that it's our job then. If we kind of are aware and have consciousness of that, then how do we then move out of those that's our personal, hey? And then I think, like, I don't know, to me, that how can you change a reality if we can't change, eh? Like, we just then create different fucked up systems all the time, eh? Like, how do we change? We need to change. We need to be we need to move into be a different people. That's what we're being called upon to do now. I think if we love our planet, or if we love ourselves, or if we want a better life for our children, and it's not based on like everybody, it really has to look completely different than this greed and this I don't know.
Materialistic
it's
based.
It's consumer insanity that we're on. Eh? It just has to look different.
Oh, when you point out the computer, I mean, the first one I ever bought was good for 10 years, and I couldn't use it anymore because it didn't work on the system. But like right now, they need gold to do that. So what they do is they have South Americans using mercury, killing themselves, killing their families, killing their world, to mine it cheap, to send it off to Indonesia to a gulag factory there to make us trinkets that are designed to last less than 3 years. This thing is not designed to last less than 3 years. And we spend all this time pitted against each other and not giving each other the value. And of course they're going to mine it the way they're mining it. They're trying to feed their kids too.
And what else do? They put a warranty on it.
Well, the warranty's 2 years, which
perfect
is designed to, thing's going to kill and die in 3 years anyways. And then we turn around and we throw it all in the dump. Like, there's a total insanity to the cycle that we're in. What do you think is the vision that we need to follow for the future? Are you there yet?
Oh my God. Well, I don't know if it's like a vision. I know it's that systems of power are not going to give up without a struggle. Eh? And I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, is it going to collapse on itself? It seems to be collapsing on itself. How do we mobilize a level of consciousness that before it collapses can have a different world, to have a world of a vision of a different world, a new world. You know, I don't think, I know we're in, you know, we're not my words, but there's an ideological, we're fighting in an ideological war.
Mhm.
That's what people have been calling it. That war is around decolonization. It's around and we're all in it together, hey.
Mhm.
I mean, I would love to be in relationships with other forms of life on the planet that we understood our interconnectedness and our interdependence. I would love, that would be a vision that I would have, that we understood that and operated on that with that knowledge and with that intent. And I think then, I mean, that's fairly broad, but things, if that was the case, that things could look different. But it usually, there's so much, there's been so heavy investment into creating what we have now. But then, you know, the historic periods move really fast. You know, there's sometimes, you know, when things are, you know, they're bailing out Greece, tomorrow they're going to bail out somebody else. They bailed out the banks. That's finite, eh?
Yeah. Well, they're still investing in the same system, in the same, to maintain the same behaviors.
So, you know, like, I know that there's lots of prophecies and there's lots of things that our people have foreseen. They've seen, like, if you look at a Black Elk or lots of people, there's prophecies around that our knowledge, you know, our way would move to the front in terms of leadership of that new way of being on our planet. I think that's a beautiful thing.
You know what? I'm totally on the same page as you. One of the first things you said was, and I think people need to recognize that Mother Earth is literally pissed and is making a statement. And if you're not willing to accept that, you're truly just not awake. You know, and it's a function. Yeah,
healing, like a healing.
Yeah, exactly. Its antibodies are fighting off, you know, something that's not, you know, healthy. You know, and it's what is the question really going to be at this point? Is our social economic system going to collapse first, or the very planet we live on going to collapse first? We need to prevent both of these things.
The planet. What I'm saying is that the planet. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a. You know, I don't have help. God answer. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what's going to happen. But I believe that our planet, just because human beings are no longer on the planet doesn't mean the planet won't survive.
Oh yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
survive a lot better.
I mean, like, we're, you know, you could look at us from a very pessimistic view as a kind of a virus, unfortunately. You know, with the way we live, we're so self-destructive, and that we basically perpetuate that in our very lifestyle. Like the fact that, like, we are basically breeding and living destruction. We're self-destructing.
Not everyone's that.
Well, I mean, like, not intentionally. You kind of have to, you automatically.
The answer to both is simply if you don't have enough time to change, or if you the answer to both of them is the same thing, which I think has to do with migration to the earth. So part of the reasons why this system continues is all the resources are limited, which is the spirit of the earth. A lot of people have to do this, we have to do this.
Yep.
What continues to be happening is that whatever the case may be, whether we capture our land or whether we don't, our job is to help. Our job is to reestablish that connection.
Totally. I'm giving you a high five for that.
I mean, what
Totally
else
right.
are we gonna do at this point? Like,
Well, one of the things when one is moving oneself and one's community into change is to bring forth the thought of change but on multi levels, you know,